First explosive play of the game. Jalen Hurts on the 29-yard line hits Jahan Dotson for a huge play. They initially called it a touchdown. We're watching the replay. It looks like he's going to be down at the, let's see.
That's the one.
The 1-yard line, like exactly at the 1-yard line. So for all of you that had Saquon Barkley or Jalen Hurts anytime touchdowns, I think this is where you get an opportunity, Joe, to get on the board.
Listen, if this takes more than 30 seconds to review, I mean, but again, because of the game, we're probably going to have to sit through. These commercials don't run cheap. I think, what are they, $6 million for 30 seconds or something? So they are certainly going to get their fill, unlike the national championship game, which you had to deal with, Mike, where they just could not cut to the commercials and then had to try to cram them all in for the rest of the game. You won't see that here tonight at all. But Dotson was a laughable prop over the last 2 weeks because nobody thought he'd get any receptions. He wouldn't play.
He almost had a 30-yard touchdown.
And he almost got in the end zone for the first play. So there you got it. Juju Smith-Schuster and Dotson are your two leading receivers for the Chiefs and the Eagles in this game. Mike, who had that?
Sense. Makes perfect sense. So what Joe is referencing, I was in Atlanta for the Ohio State-Notre Dame National Championship game, and Notre Dame opened with a 9-minute and 45-second touchdown drive. Really impressive. 18 plays, and they took a lot of the air out of the ball early. Ohio State comes back with a 6-minute drive of their own. So the only commercial break for the entire first quarter was the break in between the touchdown, which led to the longest second quarter with the least amount of action in the history of football. They had to run commercial breaks. We all were watching in the stadium. We're all watching the guy come out with the counter, 3 minutes, let's reset it, another 3 minutes, kickoff, touchback, commercial break. It was, it really impacted the in-game experience, unfortunately, and hopefully we don't suffer from that today in the Super Bowl. All right, so Philly's going to have the ball down to the 1-yard line. Could lead to a touchdown here, which starts to build, Joe, Super Bowl MVP stat lines. Touchdowns are going to play a factor here. A lot has been made of Saquon Barkley potentially being the first running back since Terrell Davis to win Super Bowl MVP, not since the 1997 season. So the Super Bowl in 1998 has a running back won the Super Bowl MVP. Mahomes, the shortest one on the board. So I didn't play this market. Since I was on the Chiefs, the Mahomes thing didn't really excite me all that much. I can't really see who would win it if the Chiefs win the football game. But Philly has some options.
Yeah, Philly's got two options. Right. It's either going to be Jalen Hurts or Saquon Barkley. And I can tell you this, I think they came out of the break, and if they're not on the 1-yard line and setting up for the tush push, I don't know what is going on with Philadelphia. It was a little more. It was like the 1.5-yard line is what it looked like, Mike, that he was short. And sure enough, tush push later, and it looks like Jalen Hurts gets it in the end zone. And just like that, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, Mike. You know. And by the way, Jalen Hurts' first TD in the game, Philadelphia scoring, all of that wasn't the biggest priced, but you were still getting him at decent plus money.
Yeah. And look, we are now in a situation where Jalen Hurts has had 4 rushing touchdowns in his 2 Super Bowls that he's played in. I like the Jalen Hurts 2 touchdown market at $5 or $6 if you got it early enough. It's just a play that they utilize quite a bit. If you're a Jahan Dotson anytime touchdown better or Jahan Dotson first touchdown of the game better, I'm sorry. But I don't think there's a lot of you out there, and Jalen Hurts gets the ball in the end zone. So, but the way that you've mapped out the game, you think it's more likely that Barkley wins it versus Hurts?
No, not from what I have seen. The value was obviously on Barkley from a odds perspective because it usually always goes to the QB, right? And this game a couple of years ago, there was even talk, Mike, that Jalen Hurts, as the loser, was the MVP of that game.
He was awesome.
Unbelievable. But from what I'm seeing here and the mixing up of committed to the run on first down, but not a problem pulling it out and hitting the wide receivers and Dotson taking their shots down the field, this so far is shaping up for another Jalen Hurts run at the MVP right now.
I think that's fair because the balance that they showed in the playoffs was impressive, I think. Barkley only touched the ball 15 times in the blowout against Washington, and that game went a lot of different ways, obviously, with the turnovers and short fields and explosive plays by Barkley himself. It didn't lead to needing that many touches. But to give you a sense of what Jalen Hurts' stat line was, so Mahomes was 21 of 27 for 182 and 3 touchdowns in the previous matchup. Jalen Hurts is 27 for 38, 304, and a touchdown. He also ran 15 times for 70 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's got a couple of rushes here early, including a touchdown. So 69-yard touchdown drive here for Philly. It took up 3 minutes and 25 seconds, and they are on the board 7-0. We'll get you the live line right now as Kansas City returns the kick, and they get it across. Whoa.
That's a good run back.
That's a good run back across the 30-yard line, and big saving tackle there. But the line, we're locked at the moment, Joe, but we're back up to 47.5 for the total.
2.5, I'm seeing.
And 2.5, Philly laying it with the 7-point lead. We said a couple of minutes ago, 43.5 was a number to jump in on. 47.5, that's right back to where it was. I still think it's over, personally, but that's the kind of edges you'll get in listening to this broadcast. We'll try to get you with a better number. Often the live lines are a lot more attractive to bet on than the ones that you get from the beginning. There you go.
Is that Juju Smith-Schuster again for another?
Just dominating.
Oh, you gotta look. I think his reception prop too was like 1.5. It was 1.5 receptions.
We are over, folks.
And we are already over in that one there with Juju Smith-Schuster, who, listen, this should not be a shock. He has been and earned Mahomes' trust. You saw that a couple of times now in the playoffs with him. So, and you know what? Of all the guys that you have to cover, I don't know if I'm the Eagles that Smith-Schuster out of the slot is necessarily a guy I'm so worried about. The guy I did take a shot with was Hollywood Brown.
Yeah.
Be 3.5 receptions, and I thought he was a guy who can stretch the field. He is that Tyreek type of player who didn't get to play a lot this year because of the injuries, but it felt like if they were going to take some shots down the field, he's the guy that they're going to be looking for because he is that explosive.
So really interesting the way Philly's defense is built. Right? You have a lot of talent up front. Jalen Carter, Brandon Graham is really the one. So we never talked injury concerns. Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens on the offensive line are both playing. Landon Dickerson dealing with a knee. Cam Jurgens was dealing with back spasms, and that left him out of the start against.
Yeah, that was
tough
almost
one for KC there.
Yeah, and that was Brown.
Yeah, there was your Marquise Brown reception. So they have all this talent up front, Joe, and talent in the defensive secondary. Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, their top 2 draft picks from the last year. So they want to feed everything into the middle of the field, keep it underneath, and it allowed Zach Bond to become a Pro Bowl player this year. He was one of the players that was up for Defensive Player of the Year, so it allowed him to make a lot of plays. Very impressive defense, and they forced Kansas City to punt. So Kansas City starting this with punt. They couldn't run the ball, and a few just sort of misjudged passes. Mahomes under pressure, looking for something to get a first down. They don't get it. So we're going to get a lot more action in this game, and you'll get it right here on SportsGrid. Mike and Joe back with more after this.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
To solve all this tush-push and fourth down malarkey that goes on with the officials, here's a crazy idea. Get rid of the worst rule in the NFL, and that is forward progress. How about this? Where I knock your ass on the ground is where the ball goes, period. Let's end this whole conversation. Like, if I drop it back 4 yards, then you lost 4 yards. If we get rid of forward progress, this tush push and everything else is taken care of. Where I put your tail on the ground is where the ball goes. End of conversation. It's the dumbest rule and the most arbitrary rule. The only thing that is a worse call in the NFL than forward progress is the punt that goes out of bounds when you watch the official walk down the sideline having absolutely no clue where that ball crossed over. All I can think of is that Price is Right game go do-de-do-de-do, do-de-do-de-do, as he's walking down the sideline, arbitrarily trying to figure out where the ball crossed over because he's got no clue.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Is it just a matter of his contract, his age? I mean, usually things like this get fixed pretty quickly, but this one is not fixed, and now it's just super uncomfortable.
The opportunity or the idea of getting another team involved adds more complication to the situation, and it doesn't seem like a resolution is anywhere in sight, but the more suspensions come in, the more it's clear that the saga is over, or his time there is over.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we are back. Live line, Philly laying 3.5. Total back up to at 46.5. So was that Chris Jones dealing with an injury? That is not good.
They showed it after the tush push. He came on the sideline, and the trainers have been working on his neck because he was right there in the middle of it, and it wasn't looking good. And I can tell you right now, Mike, you want to look a lot into this. But to me, in these kinds of situations, body language says a lot. Jalen Hurts goes in there, scores that thing. He goes to the side. I mean, there is no it's all business right now.
Totally.
And there looks to be a little bit of panic on the Kansas City Chiefs sideline right now. Andy Reid's going up and down, talking to Kelsey, trying to get some guys. Chris Jones looks like he can't get comfortable with his neck. The body language, even with Pat Mahomes, I mean, I'm watching and I'm going, there is this deer caught in a headlight feel right now. Would you agree?
So here's what I would say. The Jalen Hurts observation is something we've discussed before.
Mm-hmm.
His ability to remain calm and really you never let him see you sweat kind of deal.
Yep.
Jalen Hurts is completely cool, calm, and collected all the time. In fact, Jaden Daniels, the Washington rookie, is amazingly like that as well. So I don't think Jalen Hurts, you can't get him stressed. You can't. He's a coach's son. He's a guy that lives football. I don't think that he's ever going to feel like he's out of place or in trouble on the field.
Yes, I agree.
With Kansas City, they are obviously frustrated that Jahan Dotson again.
Yeah,
You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
So
even Kansas City's looking like Jahan Dotson.
Yeah,
What?
we weren't even sure he was going to play. He nearly has a touchdown. So, and he's got 2 catches already.
Yep.
So Chris Jones back out on the field. They were working on his neck on the sideline. Here's the only thing I'll push back on the KC thing. In these 3 Super Bowls with this group,
Yes.
they've been down in 10 points in all
Correct.
3 games.
I agree.
Oh man!
But I think we can all agree, though, as well, that those teams were built to come from behind.
A little better than this one.
They
for
are
sure.
much better. This is not an explosive offense, which was my problem with Kansas City to begin with, especially against a Vic Fangio defense who, even though Vic Fangio's defenses have not ever beaten Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid, they're 0-8. That had much more to do with the offensive side of things with Fangio's team as opposed to the defense. So if you can't score in the red zone and you're giving up touchdowns for field goals, Kansas City's going to have a problem trying to make up the difference here.
No
And that's the fear here.
No doubt. So in when they played a couple of years ago. The halftime score was 24-14. But remember, one of the Chiefs' touchdowns was when Jalen Hurts dropped the ball in the backfield and Nick Bolton picked it up and raced for a score.
Correct.
So Kansas City's offense had only put up 7 points in that previous matchup.
Yep.
I'll say this. The way Philly is starting to push now on the offensive line, which is something we expected. But if they get up 14-0, this tallest and heaviest O-line in Super Bowl history, averaging, what is that, 6'6" was that, and 338? Obviously, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, the tackles. You got Juergens in the middle, and then Mekhi Becton at right guard. And Steen was the one that was, Steen was the one that filled in last time, but Dickerson at the other guard. So an impressive group and one of the most talented ones in NFL history if you listen to some people that really follow that. Here's your Kenneth Gainwell sighting.
Yes. We were wondering what was going to happen with him. Also, we were wondering, the defense for Kansas City at some point is going to have to come up with a play here because they're getting pushed around like nobody's business. So, I think they got a big third down coming up. And I had under 5.5 sacks in this game, Mike.
I like that, too.
I just didn't think that. First of all, you're not going to sack Mahomes. He's going to get rid of the ball. There you go. So it looks like, but there's flags everywhere on this play.
That's offsides, I think.
Is that what it was? Well, no wonder why they sacked him. All right, there you go then.
I think they got out early.
Yep, that'll do it.
So there you go. That, they were just offsides, I think, but that was a good call. A good example of Spagnuolo sort of knowing the right. Oh, geez, he's lined up.
It wasn't even close. Yeah, he lined up on the other side of the ball.
That's a Menahu is lined up offsides, and he's not even one of the blitzers. So they get home on Hurts, but clearly offsides. Are they going to they need to snap it here before the end of the first quarter. So
they do.
They are right at, they are at the 30 again. So.
Yeah, that's good. We need some field goals here. We do. Yeah, we need a couple of field goals.
We do.
Great.
But first down there for Philly, and they are going to end the first quarter with Jalen Hurts taking a sack.
That looked like a busted play, though. I don't know what that was. That did not look good at all.
I think that might have been a designed run that didn't go anywhere. So Jalen Hurts going to finish the first quarter 6 of 7 for 75 yards, 4 carries for 15 yards. And a touchdown, so that doesn't register as a sack. That was a designed run by the QB. So there we go, folks. That's your first quarter, 7-0. 46.5 is the total, and Philly now laying 5.5. So if you're a Chiefs bettor, you're getting a little bit of value now. But Philly, again, dominant in the first quarter, Joe.
Well, if you're a Eagles backer, you got middle opportunities all over the place. So I would think if they can get 3 here at least, go up 10-0, you are in all likelihood going to be able to get a much better number for the Kansas City Chiefs. And again, if you were part of the looking to tease them up earlier, do the same game teaser, 6 points to over a touchdown for Philadelphia. Boy, oh boy, you've got yourself an opportunity, I think, if they put some more points on this board to get the Chiefs at +5.5, +6 maybe here, Mike?
Yeah. And I'd say in terms of a live betting strategy, I would not bet it yet. They're still just second down. They're just outside the 30-yard line. You can get 7 here. You can get a field goal. But like Joe said, if you're really feeling great about Philly now, and we talked about it pregame, this game can go either way, so you're trying to figure out how a game can play out when the teams are this tight and this good. And I still think that if Philly is to win this game, they have to do it more comfortably, not kicking a field goal, a walk-off Jake Elliott field goal to win this game. So some alt lines from Philly. Right now it's -5.5. You want to go to -6.5, -9.5. If you think they have a comfortable win, you have your chance. So we're going to come back on the other side with more game action right here on the Grid.
best dressed guy, let me tell you, next to me in terms of Radio Row. I want to get your thoughts quickly on the game, Philly and KC. How do you see it playing out?
You know, obviously you got Patrick Mahomes, who just finds a way to win. Then you got on the other side of the table an alien, and Barkley. I mean, he's had an incredible year.
Right.
I think whoever has the balls last is going to win the football game.
Only on SportsGrid.
I have no idea how to categorize what Mavericks GM Nico Harrison pulled off, Joe. All I know is that he shipped off Luka Doncic without telling Luka about it.
If you thought conditioning was a problem for Luka, wait until you get a load of Anthony Davis tripping over air and then missing 40 games because he's like Glass Joe.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, folks. So there we go. We have our first big mistake of the game on 3rd and 10 from the Chiefs 30. Jalen Hurts under pressure, throws off his back foot, and that gets picked off, Joe.
That was awful.
It was
I mean,
terrible.
that was just a terrible throw on a whole lot of different levels there. A.J. Brown was running into the end zone, who was covered. It was a nice grab and a nice interception, but there was no need for it. So I don't know if there was a mix-up. Was he expecting somebody to be in there? I don't know, but they were clearly in field goal range there, even in Jake Elliott's range there, right inside, right around the 30-yard line. So that's big. Now, here's the deal. The Philadelphia defense coming back out now, and Mahomes has got even worse field position than he has started at any point in this game with the first couple of drives, because now he's going to be inside the 5-yard line there with that Philadelphia defense. So what does Vic Fangio do? What does he call here, Mike? Is he doesn't often bring the house, but it's going to be interesting to see how this defense answers of Philadelphia.
Yeah, he's going to be at the 2-yard line. So it was a great catch by Cook, but he rolled out of bounds at the 2-yard line. If he had gotten up and even just gotten him a few yards on the return, they were aggressive from inside the 10 last time. I think you're going to want to just get a little bit of breathing room here. Not that the Chiefs are the ones to just specifically play the field control or the field position game, but I think you need a little bit here. I am going to look for Travis Kelce catch here on this drive. I think they have to get the ball in his hands.
Ooh.
And I'm going to look for something, player to catch a pass. Yeah, I'm locked right now at the moment. But I think that's where we're going to go. You'll see Travis Kelce. At some point, there's going to be a Travis Kelce onslaught, forcing the ball. They can't do this with Juju Smith-Schuster the whole game. No. It's nice to get him 4 yards at a clip, but they don't necessarily have that type of luxury to just feed the ball on 5-yard passes to Juju all day.
But it's interesting because while we were all running to the window to back Dallas Goedert in this game, why? Because Kansas City, if there was one deficiency with this defense this year, it's their inability to be able to cover tight ends in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
On the flip side, that is not the problem with Philadelphia. Philadelphia done a great job of blanketing tight ends this season in this defense of Vic Fangio. So I wasn't as high on Kelce as I was on Goddard, simply because the defense of Philadelphia has done a much better job against the tight ends.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah.
Philly's defense is playing great early.
They're flying.
They are playing great.
Yes,
there's my Noah Gray catch.
Yeah, well,
I got a
there you
Noah
go.
Gray catch.
Oh,
I think
okay.
he's over 1.5 receptions and 11.5 on yardage. So the Chiefs do run a lot of multiple tight end sets.
Yep.
That was a really great catch.
That really
on
was
the
a good
interception.
grab. Yep.
And the reason, and I know it's 3rd and 10, and you might think, he was just throwing it away. Well, they were in field goal range. He was on the 30-yard line. Jake Elliott has had his struggles this year, but in that Rams game, even when it was snowing, he missed 2 extra points in that game, but he had 3 field goals in the snow. So, still, it was a scoring opportunity that they threw away, Joe.
Yeah, well, they did, and when you need to put a team like Kansas City away and leave absolutely nothing to question, leaving 3 points out on the field is not a great situation there, and but the good news is I haven't seen them move the chains a lot at all there, the Kansas City Chiefs, because I believe we got another 4th down coming up here as they are not able to convert. They are on 3rd down conversions. They were 0 for 3 now. They are averaging 6.5 yards to get a first down on 3rd down. That is not good at all. And is it me, or does it just feel like Philadelphia is manhandling? They're hitting harder. They're there at the ball harder. This defense is flying around right now, and I haven't seen Kansas City look this kind of shell-shocked in a while, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, see, he did force it into Kelsey like I thought. Lucky for me, I couldn't get that bet in, but he did force it into Kelsey and threw it low. So he's feeling some pressure up the middle, and they are not a team that blitzes a lot. Philly is not. That's not the Vic Fangio style, and that's a good thing for them because Patrick Mahomes might be the biggest killer of the blitz in the history of the NFL. So you don't really want to blitz him at all. And Philly, all right. So good coverage on the kick to Cooper DeJean, and he's going to be they're going to start at the 42-yard line, though. Great field position, and they could be in field goal range in a couple of plays, Joe.
Yes. What I wouldn't do, I got a good friend of mine, Chris Thurston, CT Bets, comes on In-Game Live.
Yeah.
He's got futures on both these teams, so I can't even imagine what he's doing in front of the TV right now. Probably nothing but laughing.
Celebrating. Watching a 7-0 game where there's very little offense from the most prolific quarterback in the history of the NFL.
Best dressed guy, let me tell you, next to me in terms of Radio Row. I want to get your thoughts quickly on the game, Philly and KC. How do you see it playing out?
Obviously you got Patrick Mahomes, who just finds a way to win. Then you got on the other side of the table an alien, and Barkley. I mean, he's had an incredible year.
Right.
I think whoever has the balls last is going to win the football game.
Only on SportsGrid.
I have no idea how to categorize what Mavericks GM Nico Harrison pulled off, Joe. All I know is that he shipped off Luka Doncic without telling Luka about it.
If you thought conditioning was a problem for Luka, wait until you get a load of Anthony Davis tripping over air and then missing 40 games because he's like Glass Joe.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, here we go. 12.5 minutes left. Philly dominating time of possession early, obviously with the interception making one of the biggest mistakes of the game, but they are in a comfortable position still, Joe.
Yep.
Take over at their own 43-yard line, back to Barkley to start it off, and we'll see what they can do here and maybe get back some of the points that they sacrificed with that interception.
Yeah, no, that was unfortunate to say the least here. But again, the Kansas City defense is got to start bringing the pressure here. I did like, again, we mentioned it earlier, I did like the under 5.5 sacks for the game. And if anybody was going to get sacked, it was going to be Jalen Hurts, given the fact that he has just held on to the ball far too long this year. He has been under pressure all season long, even with that offensive line, to be under pressure as much as he was. A lot of that had to do with the fact that he just simply wasn't pulling the trigger as fast as he was when Shane Steichen was the offensive coordinator back in the last time that he faced the Chiefs in this game. So it felt like if anybody was going to be able to get the sacks, Kansas City was going to be able to do that. Mahomes is going to get rid of the ball quickly, and under pressure, he's off target.
Yeah.
That's what we're seeing. So instead of sacks, you're getting a less than accurate Mahomes right now. But this defense of the Chiefs got to figure out a way to get some pressure on him.
Smart tuck and run there by Hurts. Mekhi Becton on the sidelines looks like he's grimacing in pain. He is not in the lineup right now. So I assume Steen, who was in there last time for one of the injured players, that is a lot of contact.
Yep.
A lot of contact. They let it go this time.
Yes.
McDuffie and A.J. Brown hand fighting there. I'm fine with that not being called a penalty, but there was a lot of contact before the catch. Is he in? He is in.
Yep.
All right, big first down throw right there by Jalen Hurts, and they're right back to where they were before the interception, 32-yard line of the Chiefs, Joe. And
they are still committed to the run.
Yeah.
They're not going away from it. They're not getting pass happy. I have by the way, congratulations, Kellen Moore, who apparently the worst kept secret in the NFL was that he was about to become the New Orleans Saints, head coach.
Not going to have to fly home.
He can just hang out right there. That's
Find
a heck
partner.
of a way to get it going. But right now, I love the game plan. I love the game that he's calling. He's not getting away from Barkley. It feels like if you give the ball enough to Barkley at some point, good thing could happen, right?
Yeah.
And he's even involved in the passing game, which I like as well.
That's his third target, even though he's only got 3 yards. His third catch, on 3 targets. He's touched the ball 10 times running the ball, just 10 carries for 20 yards. But this is the methodical approach that Joe is talking about. They are 9 of 11 passing the ball, and they have 18 runs already, Joe. So we're already in a position where they have 29 plays that they've called to the Chiefs, just 10 offensive plays run so far.
Yeah. And again, in field goal range here on a third, on what was a third down. So I'm going to assume we're not going to do anything stupid here, Jalen Hurts. And now we're going to find out whether or not Elliott is trustworthy here because, it would be a fourth down in what, 3 or 4? And what is it going to be, a 50, 45-yard field goal somewhere in that ballpark there?
I think we'll be right around 40. He gets tackled at the 29 there.
Yeah.
So 46-yarder. They're going for it, by the way.
Of course they are. So that tells you everything you need to know about the trust in Jake Elliott.
Yeah, they'd rather run on 4th and 3 than have Elliott come out there.
Wow, that's bonkers. No, they're not even. They're on the 25, Mike.
Yeah.
What is that? That's
42. 42-yarder.
Wow. That'd be interesting. Unless they're trying to draw him off. That's a possibility as well.
No, this is a snap. Oh, no.
No, they tried to draw him off. Okay.
All right. I mean, I don't mind that.
No, first time out, too, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, first time out in the game, too. So, like it.
All right, so 4th and 3, they try to draw them off, and you get your ads, you get your advertisements there for Kendrick Lamar halftime shows. SZA will be featured there as well.
What is the time of possession, Mike? Do we have that?
I will get it for you. It was lopsided before this. We are now up to 16 minutes and 20 seconds for Philly, just under 5 minutes for the Chiefs.
That's domination is what that is. As Elliott is out, ready to roll. And there is some sort of, I think, did he miss that? Oh, no, there's a flag. I don't know who the flag is on now, but My goodness. Not a great start
Another
here.
offsides.
It's unbelievable, Mike.
Oh, my God.
And they
down.
just gave him a first down. Wow.
That is horrendous.
Off the rails. And for those at home that if you're not watching the game, basically the Chiefs' interior linemen are lining up on the Philadelphia side. Like the ball is not snapped and the Chiefs are lined up on the – it's as clear as day down the line, Mike. I don't know what they're doing. I really don't.
Wait. That is not that. That is not offsides. That's a snapping violation, I think.
Oh. Well, no, they're kicking it again. So it looks like it's, what is it, a fourth down?
Yes, that was a snap violation.
Oh, because they jumped on the center. Okay. Yep.
So the center kind of false started and the Chiefs moved. They were watching. Fox did a great close-up right there,
yes,
folks, of the center. Or is this a formation? No, I think it was a snap violation.
Yeah, it was a snap violation. Yeah.
So
he kind of lifted the ball.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
He repositioned the ball or fake snapped it to try to get somebody to jump, which worked. Unfortunately, that is a penalty. So now it's a 48-yard attempt. Elliott did drill the first one down the middle
That's good.
Wow.
That would have been good.
All right, he made the 48-yarder. That was a little closer than the 43-yarder.
That's over.
But
47.5 was the long field goal. That was it. Boom. That was it.
There we go.
Over
the penalty helps you out.
Yep, that penalty ends up cashing a ticket for us. That's outstanding.
There you go. So I actually had the over on the shortest field goal. I thought the teams would be a little bit more aggressive. So that was a 26.5-yard line. So basically no field goals inside the 10-yard line. I will say that Harrison Butker did kick a chip shot last year, 24-yard field goal against the Niners. That game played out very differently. The Chiefs stalled in the red zone a lot last year. He kicked 4 field goals in the game last year. But Chiefs now down again by 10 points, 10-0. In their previous 3 victories in this era, they have trailed by 10 points in each of those games. So we'll see exactly what they can do to come back here, but their offense has been
we need to see something
so far.
You can't go 17 minutes to 5 minutes in time of possession in this game and think and give credit to Philadelphia. They're doing exactly what they need to do, even with the turnover, which was kind of ridiculous, but it didn't hurt them because once again the defense able to get 3 and out. But where is the moving of the chains? Kansas City is not built to have to go 3 plays, 85 yards. They're going to need, are we going to see more shots being taken now with guys like Hollywood Brown? Has Xavier Worthy touched the ball at all?
I was just about to go through it. The Chiefs have only run 10 offensive plays, 5 of 9 for 24 yards passing the ball. Kareem Hunt has 1 carry for 2 yards. That is the extent of the rushing attack thus far. Juju Smith-Schuster, 2 for 16. Hunt, 1 for 5. Noah Gray, 1 for 2. Worthy, 1 catch for 1 yard. Kelsey, no catches on 2 targets. Hollywood Brown, no catches on 2 targets. They have 1 first down, and we have 8 minutes left in the first half. So 10 first downs to 1, and there we go. 16.5 minutes to just under 5 minutes. Joe, like Joe is saying, I think they'll force the ball to Kelsey again here. Maybe you get a Travis Kelsey catch. They'll have a little bit more breathing room than they did in those first last couple of drives where they were punted and had an interception deep in their own territory, Joe.
Yeah, this is crunch time now. So this is, let's see what Andy Reid and company and Mahomes have figured out here. They do feel like they're all out of sorts. But, again, you've got to be able to keep the offense on the field and keep that defense on the sidelines of there, Mike, because you can't keep having the Kansas City defense on the field here for the entire first half.
This is the lowest the total has been so far, 42.5 we are seeing at certain books. -3.5 is the spread right now. So I think 42.5 is an over opportunity. We'll be back with more on the game after this.
Let's talk about Philly and Kansas City. They're here again 2 out of the last 3 years. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
I'm a big Andy Reid fan, and it's hard to go against what he's been able to accomplish. That being said, there's a lot of storylines in this game. You know, you look at Saquon and what he's been able to do this year.
Crazy.
It's wild. But if he's able to do what he's done throughout the playoffs, they'll be hard to beat.
Only on SportsGrid.
You want me to solve all this tush-push and fourth down malarkey that goes on with the officials? Here's a crazy idea. Get rid of the worst rule in the NFL, and that is forward progress. How about this? Where I knock your ass in the ground is where the ball goes, period. Let's end this whole conversation. Like, if I drop you back 4 yards, then you lost 4 yards. If we get rid of forward progress, this tush-push and everything else is taken care of. Where I put your tail on the ground is where the ball goes, end of conversation. It's the dumbest rule and the most arbitrary rule. The only thing that is a worse call in the NFL than forward progress is the punt that goes out of bounds when you watch the official walk down the sideline having absolutely no clue where that ball crossed over. All I can think of is that Price is Right game go do-de-do-de-do, do-de-do-de-do, as he's walking down the sideline, arbitrarily trying to figure out where the ball crossed over because he's got no clue.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we are back, folks, and a huge development in this game. Cooper DeJean picks off Patrick Mahomes and races for the score, 17-0. And the Chiefs couldn't do anything on the first couple of plays. Mahomes forces one here. That's a terrible throw by Mahomes. And DeJean just out. I mean, nobody came even close. He right near the goal line, he tiptoes in. So the rookie, the one that I said they might pick on a little bit, Joe, he gets in. Yeah, he's not even close. Joe Thuney, I think, tried to bring him down. So we are 17-0, and that changes everything. So Philly is now laying -9.5. I was talking about alt lines from Philly, -9.5. Now you got to lay juice in order to get that. And the total still remains at 47.5. Mahomes will get the ball right back, but an incredible play by DeJean, the rookie. He was thrown right to him, to be fair.
That's not an incredible play. That is awful, Mahomes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't know. And they showed the other angle. He was trying to get it to who? Juju Smith-Schuster, which I appreciate, except I already cashed that ticket. So you could feel free to throw the ball around to some other guys. But and listen, there's no excuse for throwing across your body. That to me, and again, I was talking body language earlier. I don't like what I'm seeing from the Kansas City side at all. I didn't like what I'm seeing from Mahomes. I didn't like what we're seeing from Kelsey. They all look like a deer caught in the headlights. And that's a desperate Patrick Mahomes throwing a ball for no reason. And by the way, back-to-back sacks. You live to fight another day. I mean, this isn't his first rodeo. He should know this. But what you're seeing is a very panicked Patrick Mahomes right now, and that's when mistakes happen. I mean, back-to-back sweats, but what was it, Sweat,
sacks. So
back-to-back?
Josh Sweat, back-to-back sacks, and then that pass. It's a nice run back by DeJean. He just outraced everybody, but it was thrown right to him. It was a desperate play in a way that I don't see them act desperately. The Chiefs and Andy Reid are known to script those first 15 plays pretty religiously, and they weren't having success, and that was, I think, their 15th offensive play that they just ran right there. So it's a force by Mahomes. And 17-0. I know they're comfortable playing from behind, but 17 against this team,
all right,
it's unusual.
Well, like I said, now would be the time if you think there is a comeback here, and we've seen it a whole lot with Mahomes. You got him over a touchdown, 7.5 right now. Kansas City is getting 7.5. It's a 3-score game, but let's be realistic. We've seen this before. Forget about Kansas City trying to win the game, but to keep it within 7.5, 1-score game, can Pat Mahomes orchestrate this to get it back to one score?
So this is what I feared when I picked the Chiefs, that it would be so physical for them up front that they would struggle offensively. Now, they're not going to get blanked today. They'll throw a couple of touchdowns on the board at some point, but this Philly winning by 9.5 was sort of the other path that I was thinking about taking. And I think you can be in a situation right now where if you like Philly to win this game in the long haul, even if the Chiefs keep it a little bit closer, maybe you're looking for some alt lines here. His second player all-time with a touchdown on his birthday in an NFL title game, not since Steve Van Buren in the 1947 NFL Championship has that happened. So Cooper DeJean on his birthday, the rookie, with a pick six of Patrick Mahomes. Got to feel pretty good for a guy that young, Joe.
Just a great story. Loved him at Iowa. Loved him in Indiana. I loved the pick for Philadelphia. He was part of the last couple of when they lost this game to the Chiefs a couple of years ago. There was a distinct investment on the defensive side of the ball to do what? To win a game like this against Patrick Mahomes. That's exactly what you're seeing here from this defense. And you're seeing a lot of guys, both in the draft class and free agency, that they've gone out and built this defense around stopping Patrick Mahomes. And they're doing a pretty good job of it so far.
No doubt. Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, two rookies, are huge contributors for the Eagles so far this season. So I put my notes down.
And by the way, Graham's out there too, is he not? I mean, even he's out there helping. And he just got another sack.
Pacheco with a carry, at least.
Yeah, well,
so
there you go.
Pacheco gets his first carry of the day. There's, Brandon Graham out there with a brace all over his left arm. He has a torn tricep that happened in week 12, so very unusual for a guy to come back in 11 weeks. He missed the last 9 games of the year, so it's unusual for him to be out there. I don't know that he'll be out there with a full snap count, but he is out there. And what is anticipated by some people may be his final game. 15-year vet. He's already won the Super Bowl. He had the key play against Patrick and against Tom Brady in their previous Super Bowl win. And here he is, Pacheco with his second carry of the game. So my Pacheco narrative is working, but it might be too little too late. Down 17-0, 6 minutes left to go in the first half, and it's now...
Nope, another sack.
Yeah.
It's another sack. Yeah. It's gone from bad to worse. Yep. Yeah. That's 3 sacks now on him. And again, this is what this defense... And they're not blitzing, by the way, folks. They're not bringing 9 guys up at the thing.
Not what they do.
That front four, like we said, that's going to be the difference in this game. And boy, oh boy, has it been a big difference. This offensive line is in shambles of the Kansas City Chiefs right now.
Yeah, 17-0. Total yardage, I think they just flashed it 150 to 20, and that's before the sack. So their total yards are right around 15 yards, and they're going to be in a punting situation here again, Joe.
Again, and now you've got an opportunity for the offense now here comes the Saquon Barkley. This is where you're going to rack up some yards, some attempts. But once again, the Kansas City defense has got to stop this bleeding. Kansas City's defense, not their fault. It's 17-0 here.
Yeah.
They got to get it done. They've got to hold this fourth down and hope their quarterback actually wakes up and gets something done here.
Yeah, MVP of the Chiefs so far is Matt Araiza, his third or fourth punt of the day, I believe. And there's DeJean right back out there catching punts. They'll take over at their own 35-yard line, will the Eagles. And like Joe said, Saquon walking out there. I think it's a heavy dose Saquon right here, and they try to put away the rest of this half. Just under 5 minutes to go. They're going to try and kill the rest of the clock and go in here at 20-0 or 24-0 and not even give Mahomes the ball back. The Chiefs will get the ball to start the second half. We'll take the ball and run with it right after this break. Mike and Joe here on In Game Live only on SportsGrid.
Let's talk about Philly and Kansas City. They're here again 2 out of the last 3 years. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
I'm a big Andy Reid fan, and it's hard to go against what he's been able to accomplish. That being said, there's a lot of storylines in this game. You know, you look at Saquon and what he's been able to do this year.
Crazy.
It's wild. But if he's able to do what he's done throughout the playoffs, they'll be hard to beat.
Only on SportsGrid.
You want me to solve all this tush-push and fourth down malarkey that goes on with the officials? Here's a crazy idea. Get rid of the worst rule in the NFL, and that is forward progress. How about this? Where I knock your ass in the ground is where the ball goes, period. Let's end this whole conversation. Like, if I drop you back 4 yards, then you lost 4 yards. If we get rid of forward progress, this tush-push and everything else is taken care of. Where I put your tail on the ground is where the ball goes, end of conversation. It's the dumbest rule and the most arbitrary rule. The only thing that is a worse call in the NFL than forward progress is the punt that goes out of bounds when you watch the official walk down the sideline having absolutely no clue where that ball crossed over. All I can think of is that Price is Right game go do-de-do-de-do, do-de-do-de-do, as he's walking down the sideline, arbitrarily trying to figure out where the ball crossed over because he's got no clue.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, folks, total domination by the Eagles early, and Saquon Barkley gashing them for another 9 yards. I think Joe and I were talking during the break, folks, and we think that up 17-0, just under 5 minutes to go, you almost run your 4-minute offense here, Joe. Just keep them off the field for the rest of the half. You pick up 3 points, pick up 7 points. They're obviously going to try to put them away here. They're actually not. They're running plays pretty quickly here. They don't even take off half the play clock here. And Jalen Hurts calling his own number. Was that a broken play?
Yeah,
Either way, it's a first down.
It was awful.
Either way, it's first down.
Right, yeah. So, and again, I think now you'll start to see maybe a little less. They'll line up. They always go no huddle, but they don't. That doesn't mean that they necessarily go up tempo. So I would imagine that we're going to start to see a little less. Now, if you're Andy Reid here, at what point do you start going, let's start using do we try to get this ball back here? I mean, we're at the 3-minute mark here. Like, what are we got to do something to try to motivate this offense and get them on the field. You can't have the Chiefs defense on the field. What, 20 minutes?
It'll be to over 20 minutes.
It'll be over 20 minutes in the first half. And now you're just going to ask them to step up, being on the field for 3/4 of the first half they're going to keep sending Barkley at you. So this is where it gets ugly sometimes, and that's how he busts out a 60, 70-yard touchdown run, because your defense is getting absolutely gashed, and they're on the field for the entire game right now.
Got a holding call here on Landon Dickerson to move the ball back. That
was
certainly
blatant.
favors the Chiefs here. But, the Chiefs have had the ball for 8 minutes and 47 seconds. I don't know if I'd bet on them even getting the ball back here, but a 1st and 20 puts Philly in a tougher position.
Yeah.
The live line, so everybody knows where we're at, it is down to 10.5 now. 43.5 is the total.
Yeah.
So clearly the Chiefs are going to want to make an impact here before halftime.
Well, they'll probably take it down to another sack. Is my goodness, what is it?
Our under is
under in the sacks.
Our
is
under
gone.
shot. Yeah. So I think we have 4 sacks already. In this game. Sacks. Yes.
Yeah.
Mahomes has been sacked 3 times.
Yep.
And that's the first one for Hurts. I don't think they call that a run.
But the flags are coming out as interesting too. The flags are actually have played a bit of a role here early on in this game. Like, we've seen a big one on a 4th down play to A.J. Brown to start with Philadelphia. We've seen another 3rd down flag go against Kansas City with a hit to the head. And we're seeing another flag. I just don't know what it is. And it's another stupid, unnecessary roughness hitting Barkley, who didn't have the ball in the back after the play was dead.
Is that really what it was?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it looks like. Yeah, personal foul.
Wow.
I mean, that's just unbelievable.
They were going to have Philly in 3rd and 20, or 25, and now it's a first down.
Yep.
Brutal.
And stupid plays. I mean, he doesn't have the ball.
Did he not know?
Yeah, that's frustration. That's all that is frustration.
Yeah, Spagnuolo, if you
And
can
it's
read his
bold.
lips, you know exactly what he's thinking there. He knows it was really dumb. I mean, that's Nick Bolton, too. It's a
Man, that's terrible.
veteran linebacker, and he knows better.
They should know better.
He gave Barkley a shot. He missed the pass. It was a risky pass by Hurts, by the way. He fired it through Barkley's hands. But now this puts Philly in a position, as they use Gainwell here, it puts Philly in a position to drain clock. Why did Gainwell go out of bounds?
And why is Gainwell going out of bounds, in stopping the clock? Like,
just go down.
Well, they restarted it, though, so.
All right. So we're at the 2-minute warning.
Yep.
It'll be 2nd down at the 2-minute warning, 2nd and 10.
Yep.
So Philly up 17-0. Again, we'll get the spread for you. It is what happened? Timeout by Kansas City. Jeez.
Yeah, so they're going to, yeah, why not? 2nd and 10.
I'll tell you why not. They're getting run over as why not.
Well, use a breather. Plus, they'll get the 2-minute warning. So one more play. If they can get them to, 3rd down here?
Yeah.
And then the 2-minute warning will stop. They need to get a stop there, and they'll be able to preserve. They'll have a couple of timeouts here, and Mahomes will have an opportunity to listen, at this point, you want points on the board. You don't want to be shut out in the first half.
First opportunity I've had to really look at the broadcast with the Brady, Kevin Burkhardt, and they got a New Orleans Garden District or Bourbon Street shot behind them. Pretty interesting utilization of the graphics there. Not as nice as our graphics, obviously. Great job to everybody here at SportsGrid, making us look and sound as good as we can possibly look. So 2 minutes and 15 seconds left here in the first half, and Philly trying to dial it up for more points before halftime. We're going to head to a break here in a moment, update you on the way back, but Philly laying 12.5 in the first half.
Keep going out of bounds
after this.
Who we pulling for? Who we looking to win this game?
I picked Buffalo over Kansas City in the AFC Championship game, and I was wrong. I'm picking Philly. Philly has the better roster, but Kansas City just knows how to win, especially one-score games. But I think Saquon, like he's been the difference all year, Kansas City has to prove to me they can stop him.
Absolutely.
They can stop him, stop that O-line, and not have Jalen have to throw it 40 times.
Only on SportsGrid.
It was the greatest show ever. It's funny, and you know what I like? You have balls. I mean, the stuff you do on that show, you are half crazy.
You know, I feel like a good sense of humor, and I like to show it off. And this kind of originally started where people were the hot dog eating challenge was something that I always wanted to do, and every 4th of July, and I was like, I could eat a ton of hot dogs.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's finally here. The big game is just days away, and SportsGrid is live from New Orleans all week long, bringing you the latest news, insights, and analysis from the biggest names in the game. And on game day, we've got you covered all day long with expert picks, live odds, and everything you need to make the most out of the biggest game of the year. Don't miss a second, and it's all happening only on SportsGrid.
And we are live on In Game Live. Halftime show coming up. We got Adam Kaufman, Scott Wetzel, Tom Vecchio are going to take you through all the halftime stuff, keep you updated on, frankly, the disaster that has been this Chiefs first half, 17-0. We're at the 2-minute warning. And right now, all right, we're locked at the moment, but it was 12.5 before the break. Just some interesting third quarter numbers for you to peruse or think about as we get closer to the Kendrick Lamar halftime show. The Chiefs are actually not a very good third quarter team. In their last 14 games, they've only hit the third quarter money line twice. So they have been outscored. They have not outscored their opponents in the third quarter, but 2 times in the last 14 games, scoring only 33 points total, Joe, in those 14 games. So they're not a big third quarter scoring team, even though they're going to get the ball here.
I don't know what in the world Philadelphia is doing.
Run
you're
the ball.
3rd and 3 at midfield with a 2-minute warning, and you're throwing deep outs to A.J. Brown, incomplete, clock stops, and now you give what are we doing here, Kellen? Here I am complimenting Kellen Moore, being like, great job, really great play calling, and that is what you come up with out of the 2-minute warning?
Yeah, I hate it. I
with
don't like
Saquon Barkley. I
Yeah.
mean, you've got Saquon, and you need 3 yards.
11 carries for 29 yards for Barkley. They've managed him nicely, but the rest of the game, not at all. But
you force him to take another timeout too, even if he doesn't get it.
I agree.
I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Who was that pass intended for there?
A.J. Brown.
It was A.J. Brown. Okay.
Yep. I just don't know why you're taking that shot at this point. Yep. Here we go. Now they're taking a flag. So now it's we've got a situation where delay a game. They're going to move it back, so he's got more room to try to pin him.
Yeah.
You know, but this is the thing that you were worried about back in Philadelphia. Going Sirianni is just Andy Reid versus Sirianni, and you're going, yeah, Kellen Moore. You got A.J. Brown screaming and yelling at people. It's like
they're up 17 points in the Super Bowl.
Beyond me, man. Somebody give him a book, will you, please? Somebody hand A.J. Brown a book.
Inner excellence.
They got a coloring book.
Oh, they're going after that punt.
Unbelievable. Yeah,
they went after that punt.
Ridiculous.
And
look at this. Oh, out of bounds at the 5.
Got a pretty good bounce
there you go. Taylor Swift had to make an appearance, too, down 17-0.
Right,
So you
well,
got to get that quota.
We got to get her in there at some point.
You got to get that quota. Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah. Unreal.
Well, we have a huge play here.
We've got – I'm telling you, the defense, Mike, is out of control for Philadelphia. Yep. They picked it off. Another interception by Patrick Mahomes. And here I am thinking that we're going to have under one. Look at that. But there was the good news is, Kansas City, you got Taylor Swift.
Unbelievable.
On a shot. So that was good because there's legit no reason else to promote anything Kansas City in this game.
Well, Kansas City gets a big stop, and they follow it up on first down with an interception. Really,
did he have that,
brutal.
Though?
His arm got hit. Who caught that? Is that DeGene again?
No,
That's Bond.
Bond, yeah.
Zach Bond. That was right to him, though. I think his arm got hit there.
I do, too.
But it was a little bit of a forced throw, but I think he got hit on the elbow there, so not really a decision situation there. It's more of, the offensive lineman got pushed back into him. Is that Josh Sweat again?
Yes.
Pushing the offensive lineman after his 2 sacks.
Yep.
He pushes Joe Thuney, I believe, back into Patrick Mahomes' leg, and it forced him to throw off balance into the awaiting hands of Zach Bond. This is just
I would like to remind everybody, though, like if I could just rewind the clock back and just put the pause on this here.
Yes.
I remember a distinct big game there on a Sunday in which it was the Atlanta Falcons versus the New England Patriots. You happen to remember that game and the celebration that was going on with Atlanta, and yay! And then all of a sudden, the other GOAT, you may recall, Tom Brady came out in the second half with that Hall of Fame coach, Belichick.
Yep.
Yeah, so I would history has a way of repeating itself here, folks. Everyone slow down about the Philadelphia Eagles just going to run away with this. I'd love to see another field goal. It'd be great, by the way. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, you got Jake Elliott kicking points, Jake Elliott overs.
Yep.
So Philly is clearly going to try to take this one to halftime. But Josh Sweat, I got to be honest, Josh Sweat has made one of the bigger impacts, unexpected impacts maybe in this first half. He really forced that interception. He has 2 sacks already in the game, so not a player that you expected maybe to be
I just
one of
don't know what are you throwing to, though, Patrick Mahomes, in the middle of the field from your own end zone, in the middle of traffic where I don't even know what he's throwing the ball to. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's throwing his ball to, but A.J. Brown is going to have the last say, it looks like, because he's in. There you go. So now a 24-0. What was it, 24-3?
28-3.
28-3 in that, yes. So, again, just cautioning folks. We've been here and done this before.
And I will say that I don't think Philly will make the same. A.J. Brown complaining and gets the first reception after the complaint for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
It is 24-0.
Yep.
This 23-0, excuse me. The spread is up to 16.5. 47.5 is the total. So really just complete domination.
Yes.
The biggest domination we're seeing, though, Joe, is Philly's defensive line manhandling the Chiefs. They cannot get any offense going. It has forced both interceptions, their ability to get pressure without having to blitz Patrick Mahomes.
Nope.
This was the key to the game. If they could do this, Sirianni's doing a lot of celebrating, I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
I kind of wait until the clock hit 000 to be acting like that.
So
but
Dan Quinn.
That's
like
who he
everyone
is.
settle down, please.
So the one mistake, many of the mistakes, the Falcons made a million mistakes. So 24-0 officially, a minute 35 left in the first half. Mahomes, let's see Mahomes' line.
Now,
I want to get it officially.
There is no way they're going to kneel and take this thing to the break. So Mahomes, this is where the Hollywood Browns and I'm sorry, is James Worthy in the building? Has anybody seen him today? Is he on the back of a milk carton? Like, where is he?
Xavier
Murphy.
Yeah.
I mean, not James.
James
Actually,
if James Worthy's there,
has got
great.
just as many catches as
so
don't worry about
That's
it.
right. Kelsey,
He's got just as many.
Travis Kelce and James Worthy have the same number of catches in today's game. So, but, Laker great. I hope he's enjoying the game wherever he may be.
What is it?
In the building.
It's the Juju Smith-Schuster show? Like, what? That's it?
Well, it's no show at all. It's 5 of 11
unreal.
for 24 yards. The 2 interceptions by Mahomes is so Philly has as many receptions of Patrick Mahomes passes as anybody on the Chiefs has, which is Juju Smith-Schuster with 2, Travis Kelce with a 0, more Taylor Swift appearances on camera than Travis Kelce receptions to this point. I remember the mistakes that the Falcons made almost by heart, and that was when they went up 28-3, and that was a year in which Devontae Freeman had an incredible season. They gave the ball to him 4 times with a 25-point lead. I do not think Philly will make that same mistake and start throwing the ball in clear run situations. Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator, Dan Quinn, the head coach of that Falcons team.
They were playing not to lose.
Yeah.
And I don't see that happening in this one.
I just saw one of the Patriots retelling that story about how they knew that Devontae Freeman was going to miss the block on when Matt Ryan got his hand hit. And he ended up fumbling. So the Patriots had a little bit more juice defensively than maybe this Chiefs team looks to have today. But the 24-0, I didn't think anybody was going to be up 24 in this game at any point. For it to be 24-0 is a surprise. Joe, this game will be tied again bet isn't looking great at the moment unless the Chiefs can make a historic comeback. It's a historic butt kicking right now by the Philadelphia Eagles. Minute 35 to go. Chiefs will receive yet again after Philadelphia score. Back with more after this on In Game Live.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
You want me to solve all this tush-push and fourth down malarkey that goes on with the officials? Here's a crazy idea. Get rid of the worst rule in the NFL, and that is forward progress. How about this? Where I knock your ass in the ground is where the ball goes, period. Let's end this whole conversation. Like, if I drop you back 4 yards, then you lost 4 yards. If we get rid of forward progress, this tush push and everything else is taken care of. Where I put your tail on the ground is where the ball goes. End of conversation. It's the dumbest rule and the most arbitrary rule. The only thing that is a worse call in the NFL than forward progress is the punt that goes out of bounds when you watch the official walk down the sideline having absolutely no clue where that ball crossed over. All I can think of is that Price is Right game go do-de-do-de-do, do-de-do-de-do, as he's walking down the sideline, arbitrarily trying to figure out where the ball crossed over because he's got no clue.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
But is it just a matter of his contract, his age? I mean, usually things like this get fixed pretty quickly, but this one is not fixed, and now it's just super uncomfortable.
The opportunity or the idea of getting another team involved adds more complication to the situation, and it doesn't seem like a resolution is anywhere in sight, but the more suspensions come in, the more it's clear that the saga is over, or his time there is over.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Okay, we are back. Minute 23 to go. Chiefs with a couple of penalties back-to-back. So on 20 yards to go for first down, they get it back to Hollywood Brown. So trying to make some kind of progress here. Philly does have a couple of timeouts. They have not used them just yet. Joe, I can't see the down and distance there. What do we got? Can you see that?
We are going to have a first down.
Okay.
I believe he picked up the first down there. So, but the bottom line is they're not using the timeouts. They got about 60 seconds left to go. Yeah. It's actually a third down. I'm sorry, third down.
Okay.
And I don't think they've converted a third down yet. Have they converted a third down at all?
Definitely not. They only have one first down in the entire game.
So that's a problem. And a wide open Hollywood Brown who drops the ball. That's great stuff too.
Yeah, Mahomes on the run again, having to be flushed out of the pocket. That's the wow.
When do you ever see him not?
That's DeAndre Hopkins.
DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, well, boy, there were a lot of guys that had that over prop, too.
Yeah.
They were looking for over 4.5 yards or whatever the receiving number was, which was
wide
also
open.
laughable.
There was nobody within 20 yards of him.
Yep.
Why did he fall? There was nothing wrong with that throw.
In his defense, though, he's no Dotson. So
he's no Jahan Dotson.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Chris Jones really not happy.
Chris
about
Jones,
it at all.
I can't believe I got out of bed this morning for this.
So this is the biggest deficit in a postseason start for Patrick Mahomes. Some of you may remember them being down 24-0 to the Houston Texans. They came all the way back to win that game. So I don't feel great about them doing it now. Cooper DeJean making plays. I mean, 23 seconds left in the half. Again, a halftime show coming up with Kaufman, Wetzel, and Vecchio.
I'm probably sitting on this.
Yeah, I got 2 timeouts.
Yeah, but don't do something stupid like giving them life.
Take a deep shot. Who cares? There'll be 2 plays left. They're not going to. Kansas City's not going to come back and score.
What are the chances?
Kansas City might kneel on it. All right, 1st and 10 from their own 30.
Well, who do we need here? Oh, my goodness. Look at this.
The largest halftime lead in NFL history is 25 points when Washington led Denver, a game, incidentally, in which they were trailing 10-0 and came back with 5 touchdown passes by Doug Williams. I believe 35-10 was probably the halftime score in a 42-10 final.
I got to believe this will be all. Just hand it to Barkley and get an extra carry there. We need what, over 20 and a half, 21 and a half?
21 and a half was the number. 11 carries for 29 yards.
And I think that's all they should do. If they do anything else, I wouldn't. Okay, there you go. Perfect. All right,
so they do run it out. There's your Barkley's 12th carry. All right, folks, you're on pace, and you're in good shape. 24-0 lead, and Barkley's already got 12 carries. I think they will be running out the clock in the second half we will go to halftime, and it will be Adam Kaufman, Scott Wetzel, and Tom Vecchio. Joe and I will be back with more action in the second half right here on In Game Live.
January 20th, 2020. You may remember that. Referenced only a little while ago by Mike Blewett as a time that the Chiefs were down 24-0 and came back to win 51-31. First time in NFL postseason history that a team had won a game by 20 or more after trailing by 20 or more. I don't think we're going to see that today, fellas. I really don't. 24-0. The Philadelphia Eagles are absolutely working the Kansas City Chiefs at the break. Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. Welcome in. This is Pro Football Today, the halftime version here. Adam Kaufman, Scott Wetzel, Tom Vecchio. And guys, we talked about this game for a good solid 90 minutes, basically, leading into it. And I feel like a lot of what we said, well, was wrong as it related to the Kansas City Chiefs anyway. We all believed in the Eagles, and I was talking about Eagles first half money line being a play. I did not, under any circumstances, see this coming. Tom, let's start with you. The fact that, again, it's a 24-0 game we have seen in Super Bowl history once before. A team trailing by 25, come back and win. Of course, that was the Tom Brady-led Patriots back in Super Bowl 51 in Atlanta. No, against Atlanta in Houston. What do you think we get in the second half today?
Well, first off, credit to Scott. You said that they were going to go out and win by two, 3 possessions, 2 scores, whatever it might be. They're going to drop 37 points. That's all looking about spot on as you can get. This has been an abject failure for the Chiefs in the first half. There's no other way to put it. That everything they have done, they've been beaten in every facet of the game, from the offensive line, the defensive line, the receivers, the play calling, you name it. The Chiefs have been absolutely worked over. And credit to the Eagles for getting that done. No one anticipated what we are seeing right now unfolding. We said maybe it was going to be a back and forth game. Sure. The team leads by 10-7, 14-10, whatever it might be. None of that is happening. And the Chiefs do get the ball to open up the second half. If there's any life for them to get even, I don't even say win this game, get close in this game.
You have to score.
It's not just score, it's a touchdown. It is a necessity to score a touchdown on that opening drive. If they get a field goal, which I don't think they'll be settling for field goals more importantly, they're going to win this game by 30 points.
I tell you, we're going to give you a whole bunch of stats that kind of show the domination of the Philadelphia Eagles versus the KC Chiefs, but the one that stands out, if I told you before the game Kansas City would have the football 7 times in the first half, 7, how many first downs do you think they would have, right? 10, 12, 7 at least, right? How about 1? They have 1 first down, guys. I mean, you can talk about the officials. You can talk about this, that, all the stuff, 1 first down for a Patrick Mahomes-led team, that is remarkable. So, the second time in his career that has been shut out in the first half, and more numbers to show that actually Patrick Mahomes is human. He's 0-2. Believe it or not, shocking. And they get up the stats on Patrick Mahomes. He's 0-2 in those games. So, not looking good, but I think they're going to put up a fight in the second half.
If it feels like the Eagles have had the ball a lot, they have. 20-10 is basically the breakdown in terms of minutes, time of possession, Philadelphia to Kansas City. They've doubled them up. What will the second half have in store? We'll get into it when we come back.
It's finally here. The big game is just days away, And SportsGrid is live from New Orleans all week long, bringing you the latest news, insights, and analysis from the biggest names in the game. And on game day, we've got you covered all day long with expert picks, live odds, and everything you need to make the most out of the biggest game of the year. Don't miss a second, and it's all happening only on SportsGrid.
Even the great Nick Saban had to put his team together to do it his way. We know Coach Ryan's coming in to come run the offense, who was his right-hand man, a good friend of his at UW. And, now he's coming in. Everything is going the way we want this thing to be. Coach DeBoer is a great recruiter. He's a great father of players. He's a great leader of men. He's going to do great.
Only on SportsGrid.
It was the greatest show ever. It's funny, and you know what I like? You have balls. I mean, the stuff you do on that show, you are half crazy.
I feel like a good sense of humor, and I like to show it off. And this kind of originally started where people were the hot dog eating challenge was something that I always wanted to do, and every 4th of July, and I was like, I could eat a ton of hot dogs.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
In a game that we saw at kickoff, the Chiefs were favored by point and a half, depending on where you look. The live line right now is sitting at 16.5 in favor of the Philadelphia Eagles, who, again, are just absolutely curb stomping the Chiefs so far here in this game. And I keep seeing it. I see it all over Twitter, guys, all over social media. 28-3, 28-3, 28-3. Like that so fails to discount. If you want to compare teams, you want to do your whole Mahomes Brady thing, Patriots Chiefs thing, go right ahead. Let's get to the more obvious side of that discussion. This Chiefs team versus that Falcons team, not even comparable, guys. I can't imagine a world if you want to sit here and say, hey, Chiefs are going to outscore the Eagles and win the second half. Sure, that's plausible. I mean, the Chiefs are their lives, their seasons are on the line here. The Eagles, they're just trying to kill clock and get to the post-game party. They just want to run through the next 30 minutes and be done with this thing. Whether they win this 24-21, which would obviously be a little sweaty, versus winning it, 24-7, that doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is get through this game and survive. And you highlighted, Scott, some numbers earlier. How about total yards? 179-23 in the opening half. Patrick Mahomes has 33 yards, 33 passing yards, but 20 net yards when you factor in the losses on sacks. The rushing discrepancy in this game, 62-3. We can highlight all these different things about the efficiency and success of the Eagles' defense, but I think in doing that, in the same breath, we have to acknowledge just how bad the Chiefs' offense has been.
Yeah, and what happened to the great Andy Reid on the offensive genius, and all the great offensive coaches that the KC Chiefs have. I mean, 1 first down, 23 net yards when you deduct all the sacks and everything. Mahomes sacked 3 times. They can't run the ball. They haven't even tried basically to run the ball. It's just a complete whitewash. Now, listen, the only good thing is you're down 3 scores. I like to go by how many scores, how many possessions are you down? And 24-0 seems like a lot, but it is only 3 touchdowns, 3 2-point conversions, and you get the ball to start the second half. So if you could just get a touchdown. I know it's a big if since they got one first down. I get that. But if you get the ball rolling a little bit and you get the 2-point conversion, all of a sudden it's a 2-score game. I mean, am I predicting that they're going to come back and win? No, but I'd be shocked, right? Nobody is this good, and nobody is that bad. So we were talking in the break, right, Tom? I mean, is it pro-Philadelphia or is it anti-Kansas City? I imagine it's a little bit of both, but Philadelphia can't be this good on defense. I mean, the Rams nearly beat them in Philadelphia in a snowstorm, for goodness sakes.
Right, and we're getting to a point where due to the score differential and some of the mistakes, those mistakes that may happen, maybe let's say Mahomes throws another pick, right? That pick is only going to be amplified due to the score, due to the fact that he already has some. So it's like a snowball effect where these issues are compounding on themselves. So the inability to run the ball, the inability to pick up first downs, plus the picks, any more mistakes that happen is only going to make it seem worse and worse. So when it comes to looking at lines and live lines and especially player props for the second half, it is going to be very, very difficult to determine where you want to go based on what you already have. Mahomes is at a spot where he may not even reach 150 combined.
And I don't think, as I said before the show, I don't think they're going to call off the dogs, if you will. Everyone here seems to think, okay, they're just going to run the ball second half. I don't think so. And it goes back to the referees and Philadelphia not wanting to get the referees involved. You know, I think they're looking at it as they're up 2 scores. Not the third score is the bonus. Let's make sure we're up at least 2 scores the whole way. I expect them to run the same type of offense. I really do in the second half and not just hand the ball off to Barkley and Gainwell.
Let's get into some of the props, guys. We can carry it over into the next segment as well, obviously. But one that does jump out to me as I look at the in-game receiving props is I believe that Xavier Worthy. Like, I wouldn't want to go near, Patrick Mahomes. You just talked, Tom, about, we'll even get to 150 rushing, receiving combined. His in-game just passing number or rushing, you know what I mean? His in-game passing number is 212.5. He's sitting at 33. Can he get there? Sure. Do I want to invest in it? I do not. But if I'm thinking about where Mahomes is going to collect some of those yards, Xavier Worthy has 1 yard.
Yeah.
32.5.
I do like the over 32. Listen, if they get to a spot where none of their receivers are getting close to 30 yards, this is a Super Bowl for the ages because of how bad the Chiefs were. We're getting to a point that's actually historic.
A lot of people out there already having those GOAT conversations, right? Mahomes versus Brady. Let me just tell you, Tom Brady lost 3 Super Bowls. He did. He's not perfect. By a combined 15 points. Mahomes is trailing this one by 24.
It's finally here. The big game is just days away, and SportsGrid is live from New Orleans all week long, bringing you the latest news, insights, and analysis from the biggest names in the game. And on game day, we've got you covered all day long with expert picks, live odds, and everything you need to make the most out of the biggest game of the year. Don't miss a second, and it's all happening only on SportsGrid.
Even the great Nick Saban had to put his team together to do it his way. We know Coach Ryan's coming in to come run the offense, who was his right-hand man, a good friend of his at UW. And, now he's coming in. Everything is going the way we want this thing to be. Coach DeBoer is a great recruiter. He's a great father of players. He's a great leader of men. He's going to do great.
Only on SportsGrid.
It was the greatest show ever. It's funny, and you know what I like? You have balls. I mean, the stuff you do on that show, you are half crazy.
I feel like a good sense of humor, and I like to show it off. And this kind of originally started where people were the hot dog eating challenge was something that I always wanted to do, and every 4th of July, and I was like, I could eat a ton of hot dogs.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Back here, Pro Football Today, an in-game live edition here, halftime Super Bowl 59, as the Eagles up 24-0. 24-0. Chiefs not even on the board yet here in this game. And the way the Eagles defense has been going, guys, you have to wonder, obviously, if the Chiefs are even going to get there. Now, Tom talked about the importance of them starting with the ball and having to get on the board here with a touchdown specifically, not a field goal, just something to build up a little bit of confidence and momentum potentially to, shock a little bit of fear into the Eagles. Let's just say the Eagles defense keeps doing what it's doing, and the offense, in terms of the game plan, can sort of just attempt to, maybe quite literally run this thing out. Saquon Barkley, who, to the Chiefs' credit, because Lord knows there are a lot of people that were looking for overs for Saquon Barkley today. Now, there were plenty of people like Scott earlier talking about, numbers too high, or this, Chiefs defense going to sell out to stop him. They're going to stack the box. You fade him. Plenty of people are probably sweating that side a little bit too, as we enter the second half knowing that Saquon is at just 31 rushing yards, Tom, with an in-game line of 74.5. But what's the strategy? Are the Eagles going to just attempt to run this thing out?
If I wish I could be in the locker room for the Eagles, because the message should be this game is tied and/or we're only up by a field goal, and you have to operate as rationally as possible. Right, you can't play scared. You can't play to run the clock out. You have to just do things as normal as possible. And Scott, you were saying, or we were talking in the breaks, like you can't go out and just run the ball. It has to be the balance of the running and the passing, and continue to do things normally. So to that effect, I think that there's a chance that Saquon doesn't even hit this in-game number of 73, 74, whatever it might be. And there's a chance that he falls well below that because A, the Chiefs' defense has been solid, and B, the Eagles are just doing what's best for the offense and moving down the field, and that means passing game at times. I will say one of the rushing props I did look at, and I did jump on, is Mahomes over 18.5 rushing yards. And I was, talked about him for the entire 2 weeks leading up to it. I do like him over 28. But he has been under duress this entire game. Mm-hmm. And that will only be amplified in the second half. And with the sacks and the pressure that the Eagles have been bringing, that's only going to continue if they are forced into a passing narrative. We're not forced into, they are in a passing narrative, the Chiefs, that is. So seeing Mahomes continue to scramble, be pushed out of the pocket, yes, the sacks are not going to happen every play, but I think the yards will be there for him on the ground, because the credit to the Eagles secondary, they have locked up his receivers, going through first, second read, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I wish the networks would. I've always said this about this stuff. I wish the networks would show the wide receivers being covered. Like Mahomes is under duress the whole time, right? He's got 3 sacks and a bunch of other times he's been under duress. So just show what they're doing. Show how they're covering Kelsey or Worthy or whoever the case may be. Let's see what Philadelphia is doing that no other team really, over the last couple of seasons has been able to do against this Kansas City team. It's just remarkable how bad they are.
They say it sometimes like, oh, that was a coverage sack.
Right.
Let's see that.
Yeah,
let's
exactly.
see what they're succeeding at.
Yeah. So, it's hard to envision, Kansas City making a comeback, or it's hard to, play any Kansas City props when you consider how badly they played. Like the numbers we gave, 1 first down, 20 yards, 23 yards in the first half. But some of these guys, Tom, got to, produce, right?
They had 11-yard reception to Juju on the first play,
Right.
That means
You're
they
right.
had, what, 15 yards,
12,
14 yards for the entirety of the
As a
first
team.
half outside of that one play?
Right.
Wow. At a point, it's like, what confidence do we have in anyone? And maybe this just was an Eagles landslide, as we were talking about. Maybe it was an Eagles minus 6.5-ish type of number that you said they were going to win going away. Oof.
Well, and maybe this is just sort of the, body language and slow to get up, disgruntled. Travis Kelce has 2 targets.
Yeah.
Now, one was a drop. The other one, you could argue it was catchable, but it wasn't a very good throw. But I think the bigger thing is he looks old out there, doesn't he? And I know he is football old. He's 36 or about to be 36. But looks particularly, decrepit out there on the field here in this game. And I don't think that is so much the way that the Eagles are defending him. It's not like he's being bracketed and double coverage. And he can't isolate himself. He can't get open in any way, Scott.
Yeah, and I will say this. I think the American public is kind of getting sick and tired of Kelsey and Kansas City and Mahomes, right? But it is set up, guys, that if he actually comes back and they win this football game 24-0, it's like, forget about it. Every single accolade in the world, you are going to get Patrick Mahomes and his Kansas City team shoved down our throats like you've never heard before, as bad as it's been so far. So it's set up for him. It's 3 scores. I thought I predicted 17 points, so I'm not going to say take the 16.5 when everything is said and done. But I do think Kansas City is going to score on their first possession, chip into the lead a little bit, and make this a game. They're just too good to be beaten up this badly.
All right, can I devil's advocate that thing?
Go ahead.
What if you get 1 first down and a punt? What if you just see a generally disappointing opening drive out of the Chiefs?
Yeah, then I'd have my doubts. Then I would have my doubts. You got the extra long halftime show, right? Because of all the festivities with the Super Bowl. That's got to work in Kansas City's favor against Philadelphia. If they don't getting the ball, if they don't score first possession, even if it's a field goal, even if it's like 2, 3, 4 first downs and kick a long field goal, man, I'll tell you what, it would be tough then to make a case for Kansas City. It really would.
But at a certain point, a field goal turns a 3-possession game into a 3-possession game.
Right, it does. But at least you get a little mojo going. You feel good about yourself.
Sure.
That's all.
Then that drive takes, 4 minutes? 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Eagles come back with another 4-minute drive. Like, we're working against the clock at that point. Even if the Eagles aren't great on offense, and let's just say the Chiefs do step up on defense in second, even if they aren't great, how many bites at the apple will the Chiefs have to even have enough drives to put up another 3 touchdowns?
Part of the issue, and it's not just that the Chiefs were held scoreless and trailed by 24, it was how that 24 happened, obviously, and that Mahomes threw multiple interceptions, and Cooper DeJean on his birthday, like for all the Barkley birthday narrative talk, Cooper DeJean on his birthday all of a sudden I think is the second in the odds in terms of Super Bowl favorite right now behind Jalen Hurts.
7.5 to 1.
And, he had a pick 6, obviously. So, are we not giving enough credit? I mean, I think we all know, like in our heart of hearts, but just in terms of talking about it, are we not giving enough credit to the Eagles' defense and their role in what has happened in this game? Like, if Mahomes and company can come out, and it doesn't mean you're going to score on every drive, but unlike in the opening half, can just play the thing clean, can avoid the turnovers, is the Eagles' offense equipped to do what it needs to do?
Well, if they don't have those 2 picks, obviously one of which was a pick 6, we could be looking at let's call it 14-10 game. Let's be reasonable. Maybe the Chiefs don't go on.
That feels a lot different, though.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Is so there is a path to saying, Mahomes, outside of those interceptions, like, yeah, the Eagles defense has played awesome in the first half, but outside of those 2 interceptions, could we actually be looking at a little bit of a different game? And we always talk about this in different Thursday night games that we've done fast. Sure. It's like one possession changes that from 10-7, all of a sudden that's 17-7, and now this team's playing behind, and the way the team that has 7 points wanted to run the ball, that's just completely thrown out the window. So there is a route to say the game plan that the Chiefs had in mind is no longer viable.
Yeah. And you make the case it could be 31-0, right?
It's also true.
Without that offensive pass interference, that would have put the ball right around the 15, 20-yard line, right? First down on their first drive. So let me throw out real quickly. I'm not sure we're going to be back here, Tom and Adam. Coin toss. I know a lot of people bet on this stuff. Tails. Coin toss was tails. Kansas City won, but they deferred. Ball get first, obviously Philadelphia. First down, Philadelphia. First pass attempt by Philadelphia, completion. First possession ended in a punt. First play, Philadelphia was a run. First score, Philadelphia touchdown. Kansas City first play, a pass. Pass was a completion on the first one from Mahomes, and their first possession ended in a punt, and the first penalty went against Philadelphia. So I know a lot of people bet on that stuff.
Yeah, the specialty novelty on purpose.
Yeah.
Tails never fails, they say.
Yeah.
That's the word. Hopefully you invested, because obviously it feels good to hit a bet before the game even starts. How many bets are you hitting along the way, though? This is a weird, wacky game, especially if you have any props on the Kansas City side right now. Hell, builders. If you put builders together, you're sweating out this second half. So it's going to be some exciting stuff on the way. It's going to have to be. Otherwise, this is going to go down as one of the worst visually Super Bowls that we have probably ever seen. How one-sided has this been? Stay with us on SportsGrid.
It's finally here. The big game is just days away, and SportsGrid is live from New Orleans all week long, bringing you the latest news, insights, and analysis from the biggest names in the game. And on game day, we've got you covered all day long with expert picks, live odds, and everything you need to make the most out of the biggest game of the year. Don't miss a second, and it's all happening only on SportsGrid.
Even the great Nick Saban had to put his team together to do it his way. We know Coach Ryan's coming in to come run the offense, who was his right-hand man, a good friend of his at UW. And, now he's coming in. Everything is going the way we want this thing to be. Coach DeBoer is a great recruiter. He's a great father of players. He's a great leader of men. He's going to do great.
Only on SportsGrid.
It was the greatest show ever. It's funny, and you know what I like? You have balls. I mean, the stuff you do on that show, you are half crazy.
I feel like a good sense of humor, and I like to show it off. And this kind of originally started where people were the hot dog eating challenge was something that I always wanted to do, and every 4th of July, and I was like, I could eat a ton of hot dogs.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Back here, PFT. I just saw a tweet, guys. Patrick Mahomes has been outscored 55-9 in Super Bowls with Tom Brady in the building.
Oh,
that's pretty good. Of course, he's on the call with Fox today. We know that. Guys, I mentioned pregame. Obviously I was a big proponent of the Eagles' first half money line, but even before that, I mentioned that the Chiefs are on a 2-12 money line slide in the third quarter specifically, ranking 28th in third quarters at 3.3 points per game. That includes, coming into this game, 0 third quarter points in the postseason. They are laying points, 3.5 specifically here in this third quarter. I know our guys who are coming up next, Joe Ranieri and Mike Blewett, they're going to be back with you. They'll be talking through this as well. But in terms of potentially getting a bet down before this half starts, I mean, with what you've seen so far and the trends and what this team has been throughout the entire year, essentially, would you invest in Kansas City in the third quarter?
No. That's a simple answer. Based on the things I have out there, there's no way I have confidence to get more in on the Chiefs at this point.
I would say yes, just because they get the ball first. Desperation. They can't, again, as I said before, they can't possibly be this bad. And Philadelphia can't possibly be this good. I mean, Washington put a ton of points on the board. The Rams nearly won the game. I mean, they had it down inside the 20-yard line with a chance to score a touchdown and win the game. I mean, listen, give them all the credit in the world for what they're doing, but, I mean, they're not this good, right? It can't be. So,
but you can be for one day, can't you?
No, you're not if you're Patrick Mahomes. Not if you're Mahomes. I mean, you talk about a black cloud on his, mark. If he were to lose this thing, 37-10 or something along those lines, not even making a run, I got to see that to believe it. And I'm one that thought Philadelphia was going to win and win rather easily. I mean, so I'm not completely surprised. I didn't think it would be like this. I mean, but I'm expecting Mahomes to make some kind of run here, some kind of push. I'd be surprised if he didn't.
I don't want to say like history repeats itself, but a lot of people are, talking about on social media, this game reminds them of the game versus Tampa, where it's just like a complete no-show from their team overall. They weren't ready. Maybe that was a different point. Like, it was earlier in his career. They've won so much. They've had so much success to this point.
Yeah, we're talking about 5 years ago.
I know. And the success that they've had, not just even the last 2 seasons alone, winning a game in overtime in a Super Bowl, that should elevate you. And I have no faith in the Chiefs to do much of anything in the second half.
Look, this may be better served for a post-game conversation if this thing ends as ugly as it's been. Obviously, if the Chiefs come back, even if they lose, but, lose by 6 or whatever. The game plays itself out much differently. It's going to change how we're back here sitting at the desk talking about it, obviously, after the contest ends. But if it's ugly, if this is decided by 14, 17, 21, however many points, if it's a lopsided game that Kansas City truly is never in, I mean, I think we need to at least acknowledge that Mahomes, not an old guy. Don't get me wrong. He's not an old guy, and they can reload. They can continue to put more weapons around him. Rashee Rice is going to get healthy, all of that, but he's declining statistically. Yeah. This was not a good year for that Chiefs offense compared to, again, expectation. There is one, if I'm not mistaken, guys, there's one team in the NFL this year that didn't exceed 30 points at all until the Chiefs did, obviously against the Bills 2 weeks ago. But in the regular season, we did not see Kansas City score north of 30 points even one time. Not one time.
It's amazing. I'm going to go Jalen Hurts over 179.5 yards passing. He's about 50 away. He's going to throw a little bit second half. That's my big play. And I do like the over second half for Philadelphia. It's 8 points, and you're getting plus odds. I think they get to 32 points.
All right, stay with us. In-game live, Joe, Mike, they return here on the Grid.
All right, folks, here we are, second half action ready to kick off, and hopefully the second half action is a lot better than the first. Kansas City absolutely dominated by Philly. Pick sixes, uncharacteristic interceptions by Patrick Mahomes have them in a 24-0 hole. Your halftime lines are as follows. We are resetting at 16.5, Philadelphia laying that number. The total still at 46.5, Joe, because we have not had the Kansas City Chiefs contribute at all. The Philadelphia Eagles have crested their team total already, 23.5 in many places. They're already at 24. The Chiefs have no offense, 23 total yards of offense compared to 179 for Philly. They do get the ball coming out, and you saw the third quarter number was the Chiefs laying points, actually.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah, it was. It opened up at 4.5. It was quickly bet down to 3.5. And as Adam was just explaining, I would not want to have my money on the Chiefs scoring in the third quarter because mostly, they haven't, Mike. Right. I mean, when you go back here, their third quarter is their single worst quarter. As crazy as that is with that coaching staff, the ability of not being able to come out after making adjustments, Mike, to be able to score and put some points on the board. If they go 3 and out and punt here, it is all but over, I think, here for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, we mentioned it earlier in the broadcast. The Kansas City Chiefs are 2-12, and Adam was just mentioning this during the halftime show. Chiefs are 2-12 on the third quarter money line, and they have covered the spread, third quarter spread, in 3 of their last 15. In those 14 games, they have scored a total of 33 points. So, again, this is not where they do their best work, but they'll see. You know, my Pacheco prop may actually hit here today, Joe. He has his third carry of the game, and they started off running the ball. They get a touchback, and Pacheco off with a 5-yard run. So they need to get something going. Yes. They can't go 3 and out here.
Yep.
Balance here. Stop dropping him back. What do you expect here?
Quick. I don't know. Stop waiting and dropping him back and keeping him in the pocket. As a matter of fact, James Worthy's brother there, Xavier, has just gone ahead and actually caught a ball finally. But what I'm seeing so far out of the gate, Mike, is much quicker decision-making by Patrick Mahomes, quick hitting, not wait. They're going to go up tempo, Mike. They don't have any, they don't have a choice here, but that's what they can't do. You can't have Patrick Mahomes holding onto the ball in the pocket for more than 2 seconds, and that's exactly what just happened, and he got sacked.
It's true of any quarterback. If you can rush with 4 and get home with 4, you're going to win the football game. Even happened to Tom Brady. It's happening to Patrick Mahomes today. A lot happening in the second half. We'll be back with more on SportsGrid.
Who we pulling for? Who we looking to win this game?
I picked Buffalo over Kansas City in the AFC Championship game, and I was wrong. I'm picking Philly. Philly has the better roster, but Kansas City just knows how to win, especially one-score games. But I think Saquon, like he's been the difference all year, Kansas City has to prove to me they can stop him.
Absolutely.
They can stop him, stop that O-line, and not have Jalen have to throw it 40 times.
Only on SportsGrid.
This is the greatest show ever. It's funny, and you know what I like? You have balls. I mean, the stuff you do on that show, you are half crazy.
You know, I feel like a good sense of humor, and I like to show it off. And this kind of originally started where people were the hot dog eating challenge was something that I always wanted to do, and every 4th of July, and I was like, I could eat a ton of hot dogs.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's finally here. The big game is just days away, and SportsGrid is live from New Orleans all week long, bringing you the latest news, insights, and analysis from the biggest names in the game. And on game day, we've got you covered all day long with expert picks, live odds, and everything you need to make the most out of the biggest game of the year. Don't miss a second, and it's all happening only on SportsGrid.
If I'm not mistaken, but that one too as well.
That's funny. They outgained Tampa in that game.
Yep.
Because Tampa just had short fields. Kansas City had 11 penalties in that game. Oh, we're in? Okay.
All right.
Mike Blewett and Joe Rainieri.
Don't have anything.
Sorry. No
James
audio
Worthy
there.
walked in to the studio. We didn't know what to do. Sorry.
Okay. So, all right. Well, we were just talking through some of the stats on the Tampa Kansas City Super Bowl 31-9 blowout. And Philly already has 5 sacks today.
Mm-hmm.
In that game, Joe, only 3 sacks. Now, we do remember Mahomes being harassed in that game. He was 26 of 49 for 270. He did throw 2 interceptions, as he has today. But Kansas City also had 11 penalties, constantly holding the defensive line, Shaq Barrett, Vita Vea, and the rest of them from trying to get at Mahomes. But already they've beaten that number, so 5 sacks on the day for the Philadelphia Eagles.
I think at last look, Mike, it was 20 dropbacks, I think it was. He's been sacked 5 times. He's basically been on duress the other 10. So he's only had 5 dropbacks of his 20 that he has not been completely running for his life or possibly in the grasp of one of these. Again, 4 down linemen here. This defensive front, and we talked about it early, Mike, before the game started. We said this game is going to be won or lost depending on what that front of Philadelphia can do and how much pressure can they get on Patrick Mahomes. We know the way to rattle Holmes, like you had mentioned in that Tampa game, was all about being able to get to him and force him to be inaccurate and get some sacks, get hands on him. And that's exactly what this front four. You don't have the luxury by being able to get to a quarterback of Patrick Mahomes' caliber with only 4 down line, with 4 guys, which means you're dropping everybody else back, which is clogging up the lanes. And clearly, I don't think Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes and company thought that was even a possibility.
Yeah, and they didn't get blown out in this game. And that 2007 Patriots team that was undefeated going into the Super Bowl, they lost 17-14 to the Eli Manning-led Giants. That was the big narrative coming out of that game, Joe, is that Michael Strahan and that 4 and Osi Umenyiora and who else is on that? Matthias Kiwanuka maybe were part of that defensive line. They were able to get home with 4. Yeah, it's sort of around. Pierre-Paul might have been the 2011 team that actually did the same thing. Getting pressure on Brady and Mahomes, who are already considered 2 of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the league, you can be neutralized, and they are certainly neutralizing him. One other stat here, third quarter stat, Joe. The Eagles have only hit the third quarter game total over in 3 of their last 11 games. So considering that the Chiefs don't score a lot of points in the third quarter and Philly also doesn't do it, we may see a very compact third quarter here as Philly just tries to establish the run, pick up a few first downs, giving it to Barkley. I've already have a Barkley touch here on first down and second down.
Yep.
And he hasn't really done much in the game, Barkley.
No.
But I think he's about to see about 15, 20 more touches.
Well, he's done exactly what he's needed to do. They need the threat of Barkley more than anything else, right? So if you're up 24-0 at this point in the third, you can't go away from Barkley and give the defense of Kansas City the option to not have to worry about him, as you're just going to keep dropping Jalen Hurts back. You mentioned it earlier. We saw Atlanta make that kind of mistake against the Patriots, down 28-3, and Atlanta all of a sudden is just they're kind of throwing. They're trying not to lose. I don't think Philadelphia's going to do that, but I also believe that it's got to be the running game that keeps this defense on its heels of Kansas City. You can't allow them just to pin their ears back and go get Jalen Hurts.
And Kansas City actually has a positive defensive play. They flushed Jalen Hurts out of the pocket. The problem is he ran for, I think, 25 yards on this one. And he started at the 25. Did he get it up to the 50? He certainly picked up 15 or 20. Leo Chenal on the tackle. Can I hit a prop, please? Get me a prop. Does Leo Chenal have 3 tackles yet? So
unreal.
Yeah, so they pick up a big first down there, Joe. That was a run of 16 for Hurts.
And it's this is it, the running game of Philadelphia. Both quarterback and running backs here are going to be a difference here in the second half.
So pass to Devontae Smith, picking up 6. Right now, the line is 20.5. The Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl are plus 3,500 on the money line. The total is 43.5. I bet the over 42.5.
Boom.
Let's go Philly,
Let's go.
I guess. Here we go. We'll be back with more in the next hour.